Ladies and gentlemen, let's play Age of Empires 3. So, today we have a map that is not Patagonia. Finally, some variety, everyone. Instead, welcome to Yukon. Fantastic. Playing some Ottoman today. So is my opponent. It is an Ottoman mirror, and I do think Ottoman is perhaps a civilization that we will see in quick search or matchmaking, whatever you want to call it, a little bit more frequently, and that is because, well, let's be honest, you are just randomly given an opponent, so your opponent will not have the opportunity to moan at you about your civilization choice, and if they don't like it, and perhaps choose to resign at the very beginning of the game, well, it's still ranked, because in quick search, games are ranked from the word go, so they probably won't be resigning either. And Ottoman, I suppose, is slightly stronger than some of the other civilizations, and certainly a little bit easier to play, or at least considered by many those things. But I don't really like talking about balance. It does kind of give off the wrong impressions to people, because the game is very well balanced for having so many civilizations. And Ottoman is by no means unbeatable, but then again, I have expressed my opinions, and that is perhaps why we see Ottoman being played a little bit more frequently in quick search. But anyway, I've left my coin and wood crate on the floor, as you can see here. I don't need those. There's 40 wood left in the wood crate, I believe. I collected up exactly enough for a trading post and a house, and the rest of the wood isn't going to be of any use to me until I'm in the next age, so I might as well get my settlers back to work to gather food so I can age up a little bit more quickly. Same principle for the 100 coin there. Although, I guess I could have gone for an early market. Certainly I had the resources to do it. I mean, I could have not built a house, and then instead with that wood have built a market, and then used the coin which is on the floor, plus the coin that I found in a treasure, I believe, 30 coin treasure. There's 40 coin as well right there. That makes the market even more viable, but I could use this coin to buy some more wood at my market, and then with that wood build a house. So I would then have a house and a market, and then once I've got those, perfect. All I need to do is collect a tiny bit more wood, probably not need to collect any coin because, you know, just found 30 coin and 40 coin, and then I could get hunting dogs, perfect. But I'm not entirely convinced an early market would have been a good idea in an Ottoman mirror. Especially for me, right, because I'm going for a fast fortress agenda. The market would only slow me down to the colonial age, and therefore the fortress age, and I think the wood could be better spent on houses or perhaps a military building. Yeah, and it also very much suits my playstyle, and although I don't think a fast fortress is the best thing I could be doing against an Ottoman opponent, I certainly think a colonial agenda might be stronger. But fast fortress is certainly something I'm very comfortable with and, in my opinion, quite good at. So, gonna go with that. By no means a reckless decision, because you can get up very quickly as Ottoman. You can be up by the 7-minute mark, since their settlers don't cost anything, and it's just one of the fastest fast fortresses in the game. Yeah, if I hit up with the marksman politician, that'll give me 4 Abbas guns the moment I reach the fortress age, and of course those will be pretty useful for dealing with any janissaries of his which may or may not be in my base, since of course, if microed correctly, Abbas guns can stay entirely out of range of janissaries due to their superior range, and yeah, very useful. I'll also have some janissaries of my own, because as you can see right now, I am collecting wood, and that's for a barracks. I'm going to get 200 wood, exactly. Being careful not to over-collect, because if you do, you really got to be concerned about delaying your fortress time. But I don't think the wood gather time really will delay my fortress time at all, especially if I don't over-collect. It's important not to over-collect. But Ottoman just seem to gather so much food, and I think that's down to the fact their settlers do not cost any food. They do not cost anything at all. They train for free. So, yeah, like, I did not get the colonial age in queue slowly, and when I hit up, I will not delay. I will send my 700 coin very, very quickly, and even if I use lots and lots of settlers to collect that coin up as quickly as I could, and I then have 1,000 coin once it's collected up, I'd probably still have about 1.4k food or more. You just get way more food than you need to click up to the fortress age. So I do think you can spend a little bit of time gathering wood for a barracks, and that means if your opponent scouts you, then they might be a little bit confused by the barracks, and that kind of helps you out. They might stole his treasure there. Good fight, son. 150 food for me. But yeah, if you're playing with me, remember to take me with a pinch of salt. I appear to be a troll, but really I am joking, and I thought it was funny at the time. But you know, that 150 food, perfect, because I found a 150 coin treasure earlier, and I wish I hadn't gone for that at the time, because I thought, you know, coin's not going to help me out that much. I have like 500 coin already once I get those coin crates up, and I'm sending 700. That's way more than 1,000. That's way more coin than I really need to click up to the fortress age, so I really might as well have just not bothered with the coin treasure, and when I came across the food treasure, I thought, you know, I should have just gone for that instead. But in the end, absolutely perfect. I do not have to worry at all. I get both the treasures. Ha! Anyway, the barracks that I'm putting up that I was talking about, going behind my base, of course more protected there, since he'd have to walk behind my town centre, and then I could easily trap him with Minutemen and such if he wanted to kill it. But, you know, it isn't just for tricking my opponent into thinking I'm doing something which I'm not. Basically, the real reason for having the barracks is that, well, having that barracks up early means that as soon as I start researching the Fortress Age, and then, of course, once I get 100 food, I can queue a Janissary at my barracks, and it means I don't have to hang about waiting for my 700 wood shipment to arrive. I can just have my barracks up already, start queuing Janissaries already, and have a reasonable amount of Janissaries sooner. But, you know, if I had to wait for the 700 wood, that would delay the construction of my barracks, and I would not be able to start training Janissaries quite as soon, and it might be a little bit more difficult to defend. But, yeah, I'll have Abbas guns, Janissaries, and of course my hero, the explorer that is, and Minutemen, no problem. I can't help thinking though that a colonial agenda might be more effective, but this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm good at. Fast Fortress is certainly my playstyle. Just collected 40 coin with my explorer, now coming into Crackshot, that polar bear for 60 wood, but just going to double check that there aren't any other treasures that might be more worthy of a Crackshot. Of course I do now have some Janissaries on the field with which I can use to help me gather the treasures up, but in the end I decide against that, and that 60 wood will be quite useful. Of course, I need quite a lot of wood. Gonna have to lay down some houses. Building the barracks early means that I will actually have saved 200 wood at some point, and I have essentially 2 extra houses, since, you know, I don't have to use that wood out of the 700 wood. But I will need, you know, that's 5 houses, plus 200 wood for the Veteran Janissary upgrade, which I'll need. Of course, going to get the Veteran Janissary upgrade right away. Going to get it straight away, and then my Janissaries will essentially be Veteran for the rest of the game, which is very useful. But yeah, now going over for this treasure here, there's a native rifleman guarded by 3 outlaws, and that's perfectly easy to get, but should really have waited for the 5 Janissaries that are on the way to get there before I go in for it. But instead, I decide to attack the Guardian here prematurely with only 3 Janissaries, and I take a little bit more HP worth of damage on my Explorer than I really needed to, and that HP, of course, could be useful in the first encounter, our first fight, but isn't too much of an issue. The 5 Janissaries do end up helping me out in the end. But went up with a tower and 200 coin. Of course, that 200 coin going to help me age up a bit quicker, but in the end, I found like 150 coin treasure, and you know, there's 2 smaller treasures, and I thought maybe I don't need to go up with 200 coin, because I could go up with 400 wood, and 400 wood is really good, because you know, that means you can get another trading post, and perhaps the trading post upgrade, though we are playing vanilla, so you know, trading posts are 50 wood more expensive, so my math might be a little bit out, but you see where I'm coming from. But in the end, I thought if he does rush me and I don't have an outpost, I'm going to be in a very difficult and a little bit of a tight spot, and at the same time, that coin will come into useful at some point. As you can see here, I just used the coin to get the Veteran Janissary upgrade. I was going to do that anyway, but it would have meant I would have to collect more coin, and the fact that I've not had to collect as much coin means I will have more food and ultimately more Janissaries, and honestly, everything counts in that first encounter. But first shipment here, going to be 2 Falconets, because since I managed to get that barracks up so soon, I have a reasonable amount of Janissaries to protect my cannons with. Though, I'm still not entirely happy. I would prefer more, because Janissaries are by no means the strongest anti-cavalry. They are certainly quite good, but not in the same league as pikemen when it comes to protecting things. But here we have the first fight. My cannons have not quite arrived yet, but they're on their way. The idea here is to focus down those Abbas guns. They have such huge damage potential, especially against Janissaries, and the idea here is if my Abbas guns can focus down his Abbas guns, and if even my Janissaries can get close enough. I mean, you might have noticed a few pathing issues for his Abbas guns when we walked past the huntable animals, and if you know, if one of them had stopped for a moment and my Janissaries had caught up and shot one of the Abbas guns dead, I'd secure a huge advantage, because if you can keep these Abbas guns out of range of his units, if you can keep your Abbas guns alive, you can do huge damage. You see him here coming forward to kill my Abbas guns, but I walk them backwards because I don't want them to go down, and then I come forward to shoot him, but whilst he's walking forwards, he's taking a lot of shots from my Janissaries, and of course damage from the Abbas guns. Here he comes forward again to get my Abbas guns. I bring them back. I do lose one, but he's going to take massive damage from those 2 cannons, and also the Janissaries, which are shooting away still, and I secure, I think, a very nice advantage indeed at this point in the game. Anyway, now with a slight score lead, my intent is to sit on those cannons and do a bit of siege damage. We see he has 2 trading posts, which must mean he's gone up with the 400 wood politician. So he's kind of been a little bit risky there, but certainly it's a better option. Well, it certainly panned out as a better option, but if I'd rushed him, would he have been in a bit of a tight spot? Perhaps, but the way it's panned out is he's given him an extra trading post, and this is going to help him out with regards to military shipments. So maybe he'll claw it back. We'll see how it goes, but I'm just going to siege down that barracks with my cannons and siege down the trading post with my Janissaries, since of course the Janissaries can remain next to the cannons whilst they're doing that. Now, of course, constantly training the Janissaries and adding them to the group so that they can, of course, all be on the same control 2, which is where I put my heavy infantry or pikemen, whatever I'm defending against cavalry with. So here, I am sieging down his house, but then his cannons pop out, and I notice, I right-click on one of his cannons, but you notice my other cannon walks back to trying to get around the Janissary so it can get in range, and it kind of does this twirly motion where it tries to pack up and move, and you're like, no, don't do that. It's doing it now, and he got 2 shots off on one of my falconets, and it was eliminated. He was perhaps quicker than me. Good job. I lost a cannon, and now I cannot engage that fight, because if I did, I'd probably lose my other falconet. All he needs to do is make sure he gets both of his cannon shots off on it, and then I've lost my falconet, and then he has 2 falconets, and I have 0, and therefore he has a lot of anti-infantry potential, and my Janissaries probably wouldn't do that well against his cannons. Honestly, you don't want to focus down a cannon with Janissaries, because, you know, they take 100 times 3. Versus cannons, really not that nice. So instead I come over to siege the trading post. I am waiting on my 5 Mamelukes. I sent 1,000 coin and then queued up 5 Mamelukes. Absolutely crazy Imba BS unit that has 1,500 hit points and the same attack, slightly more than, as a Hussar. Here I come in to kill some settlers. I, kill the trading post. Might as well make some use of the time whilst I'm not actually pressuring him. Push and pressure, that was a mix of, but instead of focusing down one settler and just massively overkilling it, I split my Janissaries up into a few groups and kind of click on 3 different settlers to kill them, but I've forgotten the exact amount of Janissaries you need, and for that matter musketeers to kill a settler, so I end up using a random number. Should probably remind myself about that, but I'm waiting for, of course, my Mamelukes, which have now arrived. Those things are going to even the fight up, because honestly, Mamelukes are so strong, and I imagine he's probably going to be doing a similar build to me, but since I hit up sooner than him, I am going to have more. Shipments are going to arrive sooner. Yes, he had 2 trading posts, but they've gone down now, so my Mamelukes are going to arrive sooner. So if I push this, then if I bring the Mamelukes in from one side and the Janissaries from the other, yes, the Janissaries will take some damage from the falconets, but then the Mamelukes will appear on the other side and can snipe his cannons, and that's what they should be doing right now. But instead, I bring my falconet in there and just lose it like an idiot, and then decide to walk back with my Janissaries and take lots of shots and bring my Mamelukes around on the same side as the Janissaries, which is completely ridiculous and the worst engagement I could possibly have ever done. And I come in to try and focus down the cannons. If I brought the musketeers in, or Janissaries more to the point, on one side, yes, they're taking a few shots, but then I'd bring the Mamelukes in on the other side just to eliminate the cannons, and I'd probably still have my own falcon, but that just did not go to plan at all, and in the end, those Mamelukes going to be taking some hand damage from the Janissaries. Not ideal, since, Janissaries have a ×2 multiplier against cavalry and hand combat, so ideally I'd be moving the Mamelukes which are being attacked by the Janissaries away, so that, the Janissaries which are in hand combat would follow. As you can see, I'm doing that now, and then he switches to range mode because he's being a pro. Basically, if a Janissary switches to hand combat and attacks a Mameluke, then if you run that particular Mameluke away, the Janissary will follow you around and will be taking damage, whilst it itself is not doing any damage, and that's just an efficient cavalry micro. But in the end, it doesn't really mean too much, because Mamelukes have such ridiculous HP that they just tank absolutely everything, and they even have a 40% ranged resist, and that fight was so terrible at the end. The engagement it could have gone much better, but in the end, ultimately, having Mamelukes out sooner allowed me to win that. I don't necessarily know if he has Mamelukes on the way. If they were, I don't think he would have resigned. I might have popped them out just to show me that he had them, but that is that. Top Brito is the name of this guy. This was not actually a quick search game, as I might have led you to believe at the very beginning. This was actually a custom game, or more to the point, an advanced search game, whatever you want to call it, and he invited me to it, said he watched my videos, said he enjoyed my videos and wanted to play, so we did that. We played a few, was a similar rank to me, so that's all good. I'd just like to apologise to him for using this particular recording, because we did play another game. We played France versus Spain, where I was Spain, and I did an advanced trading post, Fast Fortress, and that was terrible. I messed the build up entirely. It was a much closer game though, and yeah, but I honestly didn't want to show a messed up trading post build, because that was nasty. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, everybody. I ought to wrap this up, but if you got this far, then you are a true Interjection fan, because a lot of people just leave, according to my audience retention, as soon as it says victory is yours, then they just disappear and it drastically drops, and that's, yeah, I can understand that. That kind of makes a lot of sense. But if you got this far, let me know which civilization I should play next, because if you remember BTM, he used to do this thing where he'd play a civilization for an entire week and make videos about it, and I think that's a good length of time, because it's not outrageously long, so you get bored of the civilization being played, but it gives me enough time to play a new civilization that I might otherwise not normally play, and I can get familiar with it, and I can try out a few different strategies and make videos on those strategies. So I think a week is a good medium length of time. So yep, let me know what civilization I should play next, and perhaps the most frequently asked comment, or perhaps the most thumbs up one, is the one that I will choose. We'll see how it goes, but thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.